When I talk to my friends who are not watch enthusiasts, not super into the watch scene, normal people, the kinds of brands that they love and they always want to talk about are things like Daniel Wellington or MVMT. They love these really minimalist style watches, watches that are simple but classy looking, that have a kind of decent level of quality to them, and that's the kind of thing they're drawn to. And I know a lot of people in the watch community kind of turn their noses down at brands like MVMT and Daniel Wellington and Vincero and a lot of these fashion brands, but there is something to be said not only for the marketing that they're doing, but for the products that they're putting out. People like these designs. They like these minimalist watches. Even if the design isn't the most original, even if they don't have any heritage, that minimalist style is popular, and it's popular for a reason, and for a good reason. I think the minimalist watches are great all-around watches. They're the kinds of things that you can wear with anything, and that's why I'm a little bit excited about today's Watch of the Month Club. Today we're going to look at the top 10 minimalist watches under $200. So all of these watches will be competing pretty directly with like MVMT or Daniel Wellington, but I think all of these are going to be a great alternative to that. So if you are not a watch nerd and you're looking for just a good simple minimalist watch, this list will be for you. If you are a watch nerd, there's a good place to have a minimalist watch in your collection. They're great to have, and there's something that is a worthy thing to put in your collection. So hopefully this will be a list that will be good for a lot of people. And if you are one of those people that are kind of new to watches, that are just looking for a good simple watch, hi, I'm Dave. This channel is Just the Watch, and I talk about affordable watches and watch collecting all the time. So yeah, thanks for stopping by. If you're interested in that, feel free to subscribe, and love to keep you up to date on some other watches that you might be interested in. But with all that said, let's go ahead and jump into today's list, and we're going to be looking at the top 10 minimalist watches under $200. The first two watches that we're going to look at are the bronze and silver tier selections for the month. Every month I start off by picking two watches to make our official recommendation for the month, one of them at $60 or less and one of them at $120 or less, so get the really good budget options out of the way first. And this month's bronze recommendation is going to be the Cadisen 8173, which I have already gone and purchased and have it in hand right here, so I can give you guys a little bit more of a rundown on this one. This is one of Cadisen's new watches for this year. I believe it's a 2020 model, and it's a pretty cool little minimalist watch. As usual, you're getting a heck of a deal with these. So this one's coming with a sapphire crystal. You're getting a Seiko NH35 movement inside and 50 meters of water resistance. The dial on the white version is actually really nicely textured. It's got a nice little, it's got kind of a rough texture to the surface of the watch, and it's just got a really simple, clean design. And I love how they went with a 6 o'clock date on this. So the design of the watch is just really top notch. There are some negatives to it, and some that are pretty significant that I think a lot of people are going to kind of be turned off of. First of all, it is on the larger side, and a lot of the watches on this list, a lot of the popular minimalist watches out there do come in at 42 millimeters, which is what this one comes in as. So it's a little bit on the large side. The bigger challenge is that it comes with 21 millimeter lugs, so that's another thing that a lot of people aren't going to like, because it's harder to find 21 millimeter straps that will fit this, and the strap that it comes on is as usual, pretty terrible. But if you can get past those two objections for $57, I think this is a really amazing watch for the money. Great design, really comfortable, and just incredible specs. All right, so next up, we're going to be looking at our silver tier selection, and this is one that I didn't really want to put in this spot because it's such a popular pick, and probably everyone is already guessed what it's going to be. Yeah, it's the Orient Bambino. But this particular one was actually recommended by one of you guys last week. Abbas Aurora recommended this particular one, the silver dial Orient Bambino version 3, which is their kind of Bauhaus minimalist version of the Bambinos. There's a lot of different dial options on the Bambino. This is probably the most minimal. I actually owned this one before, and I think it's a really cool watch as well. But I do get recommendations every month, so I really appreciate you guys helping me compile these lists. And the way that works is, when I release this watch of the month, I always tell you guys what next month's category is going to be, so that you can drop me a comment down below and give me your recommendations for watches I should consider including in next month's list. So let me go and do that now. Next month, we're going to be looking at the best one watch collection watches under $200. So I did a little poll running a couple of options. This is the one that narrowly won out the victory, and I was kind of happy it did because this is the one that probably I'm most interested in. I've been looking for a good one watch collection. Think on the high end, something like a Rolex Explorer, right? Something that is rugged, that has, you know, good water resistance, and yet something that is classy and elegant enough that you can wear it in almost any situation. Like that to me is like the ultimate one watch collection watch. Find me something like that under $200. Find me something like that under $60 or under $120 to get the bronze or silver selections, and let me know what that is. So something that is rugged yet versatile. That's what we're going to be. It's kind of a broad topic. I mean, there's a lot of watches that could fit in there, and preferably watches that have not been nominated for any of the other lists that we've done so far. But the Orient Bambino version 3 is a great watch. Another line to look out from Orient is also the Symphony line, which is like the Bambino, but it has a flat crystal. The Bambino has a really high domed crystal on it, which gives it its distinct look. If you want something a little bit simpler than that, just a simple, plain, good-looking watch, the Symphony line is very similar for around a similar price point. You can pick up this silver version 3 Bambino for $110 on Amazon. Okay, so with those out of the way, let's go ahead and run through the rest of the list and talk about some of these other watches that are also great deals. And we'll kind of be going, I'll try and go roughly in order from cheapest to most expensive. And so for $55, we're going to check out the Stührling Original 3997Z.2. This is the first Stührling Original that we've had on here. Stührling Original, they're kind of on the fashion watch side. They do a lot of homages, a ton of different designs, and you know, they're not awesome watches, but they're pretty decent ones for the money. And basically for $55, this watch is spec-wise and looks-wise and even name brand-wise, because Stührling Original is a fairly well-known name, you're getting like everything you would get out of a Daniel Wellington or an MVMT at like a third of the cost. So if you're into like a Daniel Wellington or an MVMT, you might as well just get this and save a ton of money, because at $55, you know, it's got, you know, everything you would need. It's a really clean, classic, minimal design, and yeah, it's a cool watch. Another choice that's also very comparable and actually a little bit cheaper than the Stührling Original, so I'm going a little bit out of order, is the Timex Fairfield, which is another watch that I've reviewed going all the way back to, I think, my second video I ever posted, so don't go back and watch that one. It didn't age very well. But anyways, Timex Fairfield, amazing watch, and you know, maybe even a better alternative than that Stührling Original for a lot of people. You're getting the Timex heritage behind it. You know, even watch geeks love Timex for the most part, and this one has INDIGLO on it, which is cool. It's one of my favorite complications on any watch. You push the button, the entire watch glows up in the dark with an electronic backlight, and you would never know that this watch had an electronic backlight. It looks like a really classic analog watch, but it's got this kind of little extra hidden technology packed into it, which is just incredibly useful. And you can pick these up for really cheap, like between like $30 and $50 if you get the ones on the nylon straps, particularly if you get nylon straps that are kind of in unpopular colors. A lot of times they'll be really cheap, and these ones are a lot easier to swap the straps out on. They come with pretty standard 20mm lugs, so great watch there. Really simple look. These ones, the main downside to them is they do come with a plated brass case rather than a stainless steel case. So I think every other watch on this list comes with a stainless steel case, which is higher quality and should be more resistant to wear and tear in the long run. But Timexes have a pretty good reputation for lasting a long time, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Okay, so next for $72, we're going to move up a little bit in price, but for that price you can pick up a watch from Braun, which has a really iconic design behind it. This design, it's a very simple, very minimalist design, but pure Bauhaus, great heritage behind it, and super cheap. I mean, for $72, it's hard to get a watch that has this much heritage and this much design credibility behind it. And it's just, you know, it's something that is truly iconic, and because of that, it's a great one to put on here, a great watch to look at if you're looking in this price range. That said, there are some questions about the quality control behind these. I've heard it said that the Braun company isn't directly responsible for manufacturing these anymore. They've kind of sold the name and the design out, and the current manufacturer doesn't always get the quality control right. I've heard a lot of complaints about that, so that is something to keep aware of. But for $72 to get, you know, a German design Bauhaus design and the sort of Braun heritage behind it. Yeah, I think it's worth taking a gamble on if this is something you're looking at. All right, from here on out, we're going to take some kind of steep jumps in price and look at some of these ones that are over our silver tier limit. And next up is kind of an interesting one, and this is one that I first saw over on Oleg's channel at 24 Hours at a Time. It's the Calvin Klein Infinite. So this is a Calvin Klein watch for $140. It's got a sapphire crystal. It's got a Swiss ETA movement inside it, and it's manufactured by the Swatch Group. So apparently the Swatch Group does the manufacturing for Calvin Klein brand. They tried to make a line of wristwatches. They were supposed to be $800, $900 wristwatches, and apparently they didn't sell well because the prices have totally crashed on these. They're not going to be available. I'm assuming this is going to be around until they sell out of stock, and they're probably not making any more of these. But for now, pound for pound, I don't think you can get a better deal than this. I mean, to find a Swiss ETA movement for under $150 is just insane. I think when Oleg did his review, it was at $180 on Ashford. On Joma Shop right now, they have them for $140, which is just ridiculous. The watch doesn't look half bad either. It's a nice, minimalist, clean watch, but it does have Calvin Klein written on the dial, and that's going to be a turnoff for a lot of people, particularly watch nerds. If you're the kind of person who's interested in like a Daniel Wellington or an MVMT and you want that brand cachet, and you don't have a problem with Calvin Klein, this watch with the movement, it's a pretty high-end Swiss movement. And you typically don't see this movement in watches under around $500 at least. So this is a nice automatic watch. The only downside is that it has Calvin Klein written on the dial. It is also on the larger side. It's again 42 millimeters, which is like a popular modern size, but it's kind of too large for a lot of people too. So again, it depends on where your preference is with that. Okay, so next up, this is probably my favorite watch on the list and the one that I would be most interested in getting. I really wish it was a little bit cheaper, so it could have made the silver selection, but for $140, you can pick up the Tissot Everytime. So in my opinion, this is like the ultimate Daniel Wellington killer right here. I mean, it looks fairly similar to a Daniel Wellington, but it's an actual Swiss-made watch. So it's made by Tissot, which is a brand with some really great heritage behind it. It has basically better specifications all the way around. You're getting a sapphire crystal, 100 meters of water resistance, and a Swiss quartz movement inside of it, backed by the Tissot name and quality control and warranty. Maybe not warranty. If you buy it on Joma Shop at this price, you're going with the Joma Shop warranty. But anyways, yeah, it's just a great all-around watch, really classic look. And yeah, for $140, it is a quartz piece, but it's about the nicest quartz piece you're going to look at on this list. So I really like this watch. I like the style of it and the look of it. And I think it's more like Daniel Wellington was probably copying watches like the Tissot Everytime, because this watch has been around for a long time. It's been in Tissot's catalog for a while. But I would definitely go with this over like the Daniel Wellington. I think they're pretty close in price. All right, next up, we're going to look at two watches that have some Swiss heritage behind them, and they're from two pretty iconic brands. The first being the Swatch Sistem 51. And this one was recommended by Carl Sanula, so thank you for recommending this and putting this on there. You can pick this one up for $150 at Joma Shop, and it's maybe stretching the minimalist look a little bit. I mean, Swatch tends to have some kind of more fun designs, and I think this is like, a little bit more fun than you would typically find a minimalist watch, but I think it still qualifies. The System 51 is a really cool line from Swatch. If I remember correctly, the entire movement is machine assembled and then sealed in the back of the watch. So it's, in one sense, it's kind of like a disposable automatic. You can't really service these. They're put together by a machine and sealed in there. But you're getting, a movement that should last you a really long time. And you're getting it at a pretty decent price for a Swiss watch at $150. Yeah, they're really fun. They're really collectible. It's the kind of thing that a lot of people collect multiple swatches, and so this is one that, yeah, if you're kind of a collector and you're trying to experience different brands, this is maybe a good one to take a look at and check out. This particular one comes on a metal bracelet. Yeah, again, a little bit larger on the case side, but I think you can kind of get away with it on this one. The next watch we're going to look at is another Swiss icon. This one is the Mondaine, and you can pick this one up for $190 on Amazon. They have it in a lot of different sizes. I'm linking to the 40 millimeter version. I think there's like a 38 millimeter and some even smaller ones. This one, again, it's 100% minimal, but incredibly distinct. Like it immediately, yeah, really evokes this image of Switzerland because the watch is modeled after the train station clocks in Switzerland, which have an iconic design. And even if you can't quite place it, like if you see it, I don't know, it's weird how something so simple can be so distinct, and that's one of the things I really like about this. It's definitely on the pricey side for a quartz watch like this. Mineral crystal, 30 meters of water resistance. It's got a Swiss quartz movement inside of it. It is a Swiss-made watch, but you're paying primarily for the design on this watch. And so, yeah, if you're okay with that, if you want the iconic design and the cool look and the Swiss heritage behind it, this is a good watch to get. If you're after pure specs, there's some other watches on this list that are much better. All right, so as I'm editing this right now, I realized I left off the last watch on the list when I recorded the first video. So I'm shooting this real quick to remedy that. Watch number 10 for today, and our final one to round out the list is the Bulova Classic Automatic. You can pick it up for $179. And this is just a really simple classic watch from Bulova. Great brand, very minimal, and yeah, it fits in really well with the rest of the watch on the list. You're getting 42 millimeter diameter, pretty standard specs. Probably inside, it's probably got a Miyota movement inside of it. Bulova is owned by Cadisen now, which also owns Miyota, so most of their automatic movements are from the Miyota lineup. So a very simple watch, but you're getting the Bulova name and heritage and style and everything behind it. So it's a really cool watch, and for $179, it's a pretty good brand to pick up if you're interested in that particular one. But yeah, overall, just a good, simple, minimalist watch. Back to your regular scheduled video. So that's going to wrap up the watches for this month. Again, drop me down below your recommendations for next month. Next month, we're going to be looking at best one watch collection watches. So watches that are rugged enough to work for everyday use, but you can wear them either in like a casual setting or take them into the office in like a business setting, something that has some versatility in there. So the kind of watch that, if you only could get one watch, this is a watch that you could get and wear in a lot of situations. So try and think through that. Give me your recommendations down below. This is going to be a little bit of a broader topic, I think, than some of the other ones we've chosen, but I think it'll be a fun one. And that was the one that most people picked on the poll that I sent out. So I think there's some interest there, and it's something that I've been interested in. Well, I'm really looking for these kind of like a good one watch collection kind of watch, because I like versatility like that. And there's just something about that I think is cool. That's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.